Please state your full names for the record.
Shakira Hussein.
Thank you, Ms. Hussein.
Thank you.
We are the Portfolio Committee on Women, Youth and Persons with Disabilities. I'm the chairperson, I'm Liesel van der Merwe. I'm going to ask honourable members to introduce themselves in a second because it is our first interview for this morning. So we'll start with Honourable Tshiamo.
Thank you very much, Chair, and good morning to you. My name is Tisano Mormani. I'm coming from the Northwest Province in a beautiful town called Rustenburg.
Thank you, Chair. Good morning, Ms. Hussein. I'm Makosazane Ratebe. I'm a member of this committee from Mpumalanga.
Good morning to you. My name is Kukuletu Mchunu. I'm from KZN.
Good morning, Chair. Good morning, everybody. My name is Jasmine Peterson, and I'm a member of this committee from Gauteng, the far west of Johannesburg.
Good morning, ma'am. My name is Fezeka Mbiko, all the way from Eastern Cape. I'm a member of this committee. Thank you.
Good morning, Chair. Good morning, colleagues. My name is Poppy Raisibe Mailula. I'm from Mpumalanga.
Morning, Chair, and morning, everyone. My name is Renele Polwane. I'm from Limpopo. Thank you, Chair, and good morning, Ms. Hussein, and everyone in the House. I'm Fisani Shabangu from Mpumalanga. I'm a member of this committee. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone, and greetings to honorable members and our support staff and our candidate. My name is Honorable Tsehofatso Megan Chauke Adonis, and I'm a member of this portfolio committee. I'm coming from Gauteng.
Good morning, Chair. Good morning, colleagues. Good morning, Ms. Hussein. My name is Angel Kanyile. I'm a member of this portfolio committee, and I'm from Mpumalanga Province. Thank you.
Good morning, Chairperson, honorable members and colleagues. I am Vabato Mezweni, the Secretary of the committee. Thank you.
Good morning, Chairperson, members, the candidate and all colleagues. I'm Kashfa Abrams, the Content Advisor to the committee.
Good morning, Chairperson, members, colleagues and our candidate. My name is Crystal Levendale. I'm a researcher for the committee.
Good morning, I'm Tasni Matthews, researcher for the committee.
Good morning. My name is Yolis Orlando. I provide communication support for the committee. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Pumza. I'm the sign language interpreter for Lindsay. My colleague is Palisa, also a freelance sign language interpreter. And on the floor we have Gavin, parliamentary interpreter. Thank you.
Thank you very much, colleagues. Ms. Hussein, I hope you are now settled in and you are comfortable. You can see these are all very friendly, honourable members. The mission this morning is to get to know you a little bit better, to understand why you would want to serve on South Africa's first National Council on Gender-Based Violence and Femicide. This portfolio committee has been given the task to identify suitable candidates that would be willing and able to serve our nation. You know that recently gender-based violence and femicide was declared a national disaster. This will be the first of its kind, first National Council on Gender-Based Violence and Femicide. So maybe we can just start by me asking you whether you've got any conflict of interest that you would like to declare, and whether you are aware that if you are to be appointed as a board member to the council, that it's not a salaried position, but that members will only, or candidates will only receive, appointees will receive a stipend. You can just...
Hello? Okay, there we go, it's working. That's perfect. No, I do understand that part of it. I do understand that it doesn't come with a salary. Can I begin? or
Conflict of interest.
I have no conflict of interest.
Okay, good. Then yes, you can begin by telling us a little bit about yourself, your background. Why do you want to be considered as a suitable candidate to serve on this National Council on Gender-Based Violence and Femicide? You know that we are looking for candidates representing either the civil society or public sector. So also just tell us which sector you come from.
So I think I would be representing the civil society. I think just in my experience, my first experience with gender-based violence was when I was 6 years old. And I mean, I was just a little girl in school, and there were 4 boys who would hold me down after school and basically have their way with me. And I think that as a little girl growing up, I grew up in Chatsworth, which is an Indian township in Durban. You would say that we were brought up in a line of poverty, of course. So I'm not too sure about the education around those types of events. But once that had happened to me, I think that it sort of just, it gave me my first education on how women should be treated. And as I moved on in life, when I moved to Johannesburg to come and live with my mom. We lived in a flat in Berea, and she had married a person, and throughout my childhood, I had obviously experienced a lot of molestation and things from my stepfather, and I had never reported it. I never reported anything. I did feel, as a young girl, I was very suicidal, so my school marks went down. I used to be number 1 before it all happened in the class, and after it happened, I actually ran away from home. I failed. I was failing all the terms, and one day, my principal called me in, and he told me, "Look, I'd like to just talk to you. I just want to see what's going on here." And he sat me down, and eventually he got it out of me. And yes, I didn't report it to anyone, but he told me how to get out of the situation. I did end up leaving home. But with all of that, I still managed to get a fully paid bursary to, back then, Rand Afrikaans University, because someone was looking out for me. That was my principal. I went on to have distinctions in matric, and I did move out of home while I was in university because I couldn't live at that place. It was really difficult for me, and I came to Johannesburg and I found a job packing boxes, and I worked my way from being a box packer all the way up to being a national sales director for a business. And I just wished as a child that someone could have helped me. You know, they could have been someone I could have spoken to, someone who could have assisted me. That one person, the principal, who led me on a different path, I was thinking, if I could just sow into someone else's life, you know, to get the best out of them, I feel like in having that particular opportunity, I wouldn't have gone through all of those lessons for no reason. You know, you have a different kind of empathy towards people. And so I have, in my personal time, been developing an app for people who suffer from GBV with lots of different facets that I feel are missing within our environment, such as, you know, legal support. So pro bono lawyers talking to people on, you know, the questions on when you want to leave, what will happen to you, and who can help you, where will you go, those types of questions, you know. And also with regards to keeping evidence, if you ever did want to report, because the one thing I must say is that I've never reported, and I've spoken to multiple women who have never reported. I mean, I did grow up in a home where my mom was literally, I was running to the police station at 3 a.m. with my baby brother in my hands, and she never reported. It didn't matter how many stitches she had in her head. I wanted a way where I could create an app where people could come and chat, have a conversation. They don't have to technically report it. And if they wanted to, I would give them the guidelines on how to do it and assist from there. So I've developed this entire app. And also there's a part of it where I would obviously, the most important part is that I would like it to be, can I say, a free Wi-Fi type of app in the locations, because when you get to the locations, it's very difficult. No one has data. You know, it's very hard to get help when you need it. So I've been working on that in my private time, just to help whoever I can. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I'm going to hand you over to Honorable Shabango.
Thank you, Chair, and good morning once again, Ms. Hussein. And thank you for sharing your experiences with us. Before I get to the technical questions, I might have missed something. What else are you involved in? Is there any activities around GBV that you are involved in?
So everything I've been doing has been in my private sort of capacity, where I've developed the app and I've put together some contracts basically for single women, you know, moms who struggle with their the partners who don't pay on maintenance and things like that. I've put together all these can I say, the apps, the contracts, and all of these things, but I haven't implemented anything yet. I've put the work in, believing, I must be honest, that I would have an opportunity to make it happen in this country, looking for sponsors to actually make this happen. So,
thank you, because I'm eating on my 5 minutes.
Okay.
Okay, let's then get to the technical questions, and we appreciate that you are here. The question that I have for you, please provide this panel with your understanding of the legal framework that gives effect of the National Council of GBVF. Thank you.
So currently I do understand that there is a policy that's been created for GBV in South Africa, and when it comes to the legal framework, can I just ask, what exactly are you referring to on the framework side?
The legal framework that you, in your knowledge, in your understanding, that gives effect to this NCGBVF. Any legal framework that you want to refer to, and how does it apply in this council? Thank you.
Thank you. So in our current framework, I think that in my understanding for the amount of women who have actually gone through to the legal side and actually taken people to task for violations, I do believe that the amounts that get, can I say, put away would be very, very low, because a lot of people do not report. And I know that we have a very good legal framework when it comes to, if something were to go wrong, then we have our laws in place to take care of us. However, I'm not too sure if everyone in South Africa are aware of those laws that are there to protect them. and who to call and how to be helped, specifically if they don't have the funds available to perhaps leave an abusive situation.
Okay, maybe before we continue, if you can talk to us on the chapter 1 and 2 of the Constitution, how does it relate to the National Council of Gender-Based Violence?
So I think that we all have a right to be treated fairly, and in South Africa, according to the Constitution, and our Constitution does protect us according to the rights to be treated fairly and not be discriminated against regarding our age or our sex or our preferences. And I think that when it comes to our Constitution, we're very fortunate, actually, that it is here for the people. You know, we have something. After everything that this country has been through, it's actually for the first time, you know, like we have everyone covered in our Constitution, taken care of, regardless of who they are or their status in our country.
Thank you, Honourable Shabango. Thank you, Ms. Hussein. I'm going to hand you over to Ms. Kanyile, Honourable Kanyile.
Thank you very much, Honourable Chair. Ms. Hussein, can you please tell us what is the purpose of the National Council on Gender-Based Violence and Femicide?
So currently there is a GBV policy that has been created already with a strategy to basically make sure that the different partners in South Africa are actually making sure that they are doing what they need to do when it comes to GBV, holding them accountable, making sure that we're implementing the correct practices to assist the people out there who do not have assistance with gender-based violence right now.
Honourable Tsotetsi.
Thank you very much, Chair. And good morning again. Now, the National Strategic Plan on GBV is a key policy that frames the work of the Council. May you kindly outline your understanding of the pillars 3 and 4 and provide us with your assessment of the effectiveness of the National Strategic Plan and the role of the Council that the Council should play in this regard.
I'm sorry, I don't know what the pillars are, number 3 and 4. I do apologize. I would, from my understanding of the policy, I do know it's obviously, I think it's a very large policy when it comes to GBV. I think that there's been a lot of work put in and a lot of research done with regards to the amount of people that suffer from femicide and GBV and the multiple ways that we can support those people and make sure that we lower these levels in our country, which is an epidemic. And hopefully in the future, it would make such a difference that it would not only bring down femicide rates, it would also, you know, lower crime, lower so many other things, and also give more people the opportunity to, can I say, feel free and safe in their own homes.
Thank you so much. The next honourable member.
Thank you, Chair. Good morning. The question that I have for you is, notwithstanding the high rate of GBV perpetrated against women and girls, gender diverse persons are also affected. What is your assessment of progress made in terms of addressing GBVF and ensuring a focus on gender diverse persons?
So when it comes to gender diverse persons, I do believe that our country is far more open than other countries when it comes to that. I think we have been far more fortunate. I think we have a long way to go still, because I mean, you know, some people are not as accepting as yet, and sometimes people, when it comes to other people's beliefs or preferences, they do, I'm going to say, stand to be judgmental, possibly because, you know, it's something they don't understand. But I think with education, as we move on in time, all of these things will dissipate, and we'll all just see each other as just people as we are, just human beings, just trying to live on this planet and working together as a team, regardless of whatever preferences or gender we are, you know.
Honorable Mailola.
Thank you very much again, Chair. Greeting Ms. Hussein. My name is Poppy Raisibe Mailula. My questions are in relation to governance. What does good governance mean to you? And how would you ensure it is embedded and measured within the National Council of GBV?
So I think when it comes to governance, that would be one of my favorite things, because basically when you put rules together and policies in place, it creates a wonderful guideline on how things need to flow and happen in this country. And one of the advantages of being autistic is that my brain actually works in workflows, and if you told me here are the rules, I'm going to follow them. It's pretty much one of the advantages of being autistic, is we have the rules and then we follow them until somebody says, listen, now we need to change this or that. So when it comes to governance, it makes me very excited, because I feel like when you have rules and things that are going to protect people, there's nothing better than making sure, look, we're going to make sure that this is going to be done correctly and seamlessly, you know, just for the protection of everyone involved.
Okay, thank you very much. What personal qualities and behavior do you believe are essential for a member serving on the council?
I think it's very important to be able to look at people and assist everyone. You know, it doesn't, it's not like we stop at a certain place. I think to be able to empathize with people, to be able to see what they're going through and their situations, not just from a high level, you know, like down there where everyone is suffering. If you can sit with the people who suffer, sit with the people who are going through things and understand, you know, there is a way to give hope to people. And I feel like I love being South African. I feel like one of my favorite things is just honestly coming back to this country. If I ever go overseas, I've never met someone in this country who isn't just like helpful and assisting us. And I feel like we're all brothers and sisters. They say that if you want to go fast, you should go alone. But if you want to go far, you should go together. And I think that if we all work as a team, we can change this.
Thank you so much, Ms. Hussein. I'm going to check if there are any other follow-up questions. I see hands. We'll take Honourable Chauke Adonis. Our sweeper will be Honourable Shabangu.
Thank you very much, Chairperson, and greetings to you, our interviewee, Ms. Susan. I would like to first start off by appreciating the journey that you have gone through and the resilience that you are showing. I think you are a symbol of strength, a symbol of resilience, and you have many more lives to impact and inspire. So you must find ways in which you can use your lived experiences to touch the lives of many and make that greater impact that you're looking to make. My question would be, in terms of your understanding, once again, of what it is that the NCGBVF's responsibility will be in collaborating with the private sector and the public sector. That's number one. And then number two, how will you contribute towards the NCGBVF if you were to be appointed in its sustainability and ensuring that it makes an impact?
I think in the public and the private sector, because I actually come from working in the private sector, I've spent a lot of time, dealing with the executives, and I feel like, nowadays they have their social responsibility and everybody wants to help. So when it comes to funding and things, I do believe that I would be able to speak to the executives and obviously get some considerable funding, because none of these things are going to come cheap. And also in the public sector, I would like to go around and speak to different people and go to different sites and assist wherever I can, and make sure that at the end of the day, we are reaching out to the people who need our help the most. And when it comes to me in my private capacity, I will continuously work on getting this app out there, and the contracts that I've been busy with for, I'm going to say, all the women who have never been paid for, being single moms and who have to fight their ex-spouses and things in courts. Because, I feel like a lot of women, obviously, because of GBV, have to do it alone. And I've personally, I have to do it alone. I'm also a single mom. And I feel like it's something that I really want to go out there and see where we can help. And my son is old enough now, so I can, as a teenager, he can stay at home and I can just go out there and try and help as much as I possibly can. Because honestly, if I can help one person, I think I will just die a happy woman, because I feel like that is my calling.
So the second part of the question was, if you were to be appointed in the council, what would you contribute towards its success and its implementation?
So currently, with the policies that have been created, I will work tirelessly to make sure that those policies are implemented. And with the experience that I have spent a lot of time creating software workflows and processes and implementing them within businesses. I feel that one of my advantages is to actually bring the digital side into this particular, into GBV, and make sure that we can make things easier by using the digital platforms available to us. And I have a lot of experience in that.
Thank you so much. Honourable Shabangu.
Thank you again, Chairperson. Ms. Hussein, I just want to understand if your knowledge about patriarchy, toxic and positive masculinity. And if you understand those concepts, then tell us what you think, what would you do to promote positive masculinity? Thank you.
Sorry, you said to promote positive, what was the last word?
First, explain to us your understanding of the concept patriarchy, toxic and positive masculinity. Then tell us what to do to promote the positive masculinity. Thank you.
So I think that we've all been brought up having some sort of patriarchy in our lives. When it comes to the toxic side, I do understand that there are reasons for people to be toxic, and I feel like I've obviously watched it growing up. I've seen so many men have the I'm going to say the very violent side of the patriarchy, which would be like maybe the toxic, where people aren't listening. And I feel when it comes to men and women, we see things differently. Women are far more emotional, men are logical. And back in the day, obviously, it was different because men had to bring in the money and they were in charge of everything. But now that things are changing, I believe that's where this and women have jobs and things. I do believe that it changes how the whole thought processes worked before, and that's possibly where the toxicity comes from, because there used to be the control level. And I do know so many men who are also so positive and so kind and caring, and we are all things at the same time. I'm not saying you get good and bad, it's good and bad in everyone, but I think that if there was more education towards men on the understanding part, where people could open up on their feelings and things and not have it so bottled up, there could be a possibility where it could change. Because as we are all moving with the times and growing and moving, so is everything that it used to be. And I don't think we've had that type of education yet. And I think that the way to change that is honestly just in education, just on speaking to people. I believe in everyone. Everyone has good to them. We can change this, And sorry, the second part of the question was, is it up there? No, it's me. Sorry, what was the second part of the question?
The second part of the question is that what you will do, or what do you think it should be done to promote positive masculinity?
Yes, sorry. And I think that there's definitely a way. At the end of the day, we have some people who are already ingrained with all of the things they've already learned at this particular point in their lives. When it comes to the youth of today, the young boys who are out there and learning, I think it's vitally important that they are educated differently with regards to women and the treatment and the understanding of women. Obviously on a small scale, I'm doing that with my little son, and I hope one day that when he does get married, his wife appreciates that effort, that she would never have to concern herself with any of these questions, because maybe she would be living that happy. Yes, obviously it's always challenging in a relationship, life, but I do believe that if we educate, doesn't matter what your age is, we can all learn and change, because we're all human and we can all be touched by real experiences and people. People change people.
Colleagues, are you all Okay, any further questions?
You, Chair. Through you,
I don't want
Chair.
to rule you out of order so early in the morning.
I know, just a quick one. I just want to find out quickly, in terms of your understanding of the laws or legislation that we have in South Africa, are you able to identify any of the legislations that would be relevant to the NCGBVF? If you can just name one or two that would be relevant, even if it's not from the same institution, but other departments.
So I think the things that come to mind are obviously our rights as everyone to be treated fairly, regardless of our age and things. And if something does, for example, if your human rights are violated, I know that there are ways you can obviously report that, and that can take legal action. And I know that when it comes to children, they also have particular rights when it comes to being taken care of. And obviously when it comes to, I'm going to say specifically, if they were in an abusive home and things like that, there's definitely laws to protect them against constant abuse. There's definitely laws against that.
Ms. Hussein, we would like to thank you very much for spending the time with us this morning. I want to echo the sentiments of my colleague that your story is not only inspiring, but it is really touching that you continue to excel in your spaces despite your background. And really, we can only commend you for rising above all these painful challenges that you experienced, and that you've got this deep desire now to want to serve your community and everybody affected by gender-based violence and femicide. And we can only really thank you for that, because we do need foot soldiers in this fight. So we would really like to thank you very much. I'm going to give you an opportunity to make a closing remark or to ask us a question, but I just want to tell you what the process is. We will conclude the interviews today, then we would have had 18 candidates appear before us. We will go back to Parliament, where we will deliberate on the state security screening report that we'll receive on our candidates, as well as an HR report. We will also engage with our parliamentary legal services on the public comments that we've received, although by and large the public has been really supportive of the candidates that we have shortlisted. We will then make a recommendation in the form of a report to the National Assembly, where it will hopefully be adopted, and from there it will be sent to the President of the Republic, who will ultimately make the decision on who he would like to appoint on South Africa's first National Council on Gender-Based Violence and Femicide. That having been said, is there anything you would like to say in closing, or to ask us any questions?
In closing, just thank you everyone for your time. I think it would be an absolute honor to work with everyone here to make changes in our country for the better. Thank you so much.
Thank you, and we wish you well. You are excused. Thank you. Group B, it's now your turn. Group B, led by Honourable Pulwane, and we will turn to page 58. Yes. Ms. Daintry on the virtual platform.
Good morning, Ms. Penas. Is it off? Please unmute yourself.
Am I on mute?
Yes, can you hear us clearly?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Can you hear us clearly?
Sorry?
Can you hear us? Am I audible? Are you able to hear me from that side? On that side?
Yes, I can hear you.
Clearly.
Yes.
Okay, thank you so much, ma'am. The chairperson will speak to you now. Thank you.
Thank you.
Very good morning, Ms. Daintry. I hope I'm pronouncing your surname correctly.
You are, yes. Morning.
Good morning, ma'am. For the record, please just state your full names for us.
My name is Robin Daintry.
Good morning to you, ma'am. Thank you very much for joining us this morning. We are the Portfolio Committee on Women, Youth and Persons with Disabilities. We have been tasked with the process of identifying suitable South Africans to serve on South Africa's first National Council on Gender-Based Violence and Femicide. We appreciate you having put your hand up to serve. Honourable members will engage with you and get to know you a little bit better. But my first question to you would be whether you've got any conflict of interest that you would want to declare, and whether you are aware that if you were to be appointed to the council, that it's a non-paying, a non-salaried position, and that council members will only receive a stipend. If you can just answer to that.
I am aware, yes.
And the conflict of interest?
No.
Okay. Then, Ms. Daintry, we're just wanting to set up the computer so that we can see you. So just give us 1 second. There we go, we can see you. Please, will you start by telling us a little bit about yourself, your background, your history? Why would you like to be considered to serve on the National Council on Gender-Based Violence and Femicide? And also just tell us which sector you represent, whether it's the private sector or civil society.
Okay. Morning, everybody. My name is Robin Daintry. I am the founder of Faith NPO, Faith Helping Hands NPO. I am currently doing everything that I would like to pursue further. I fight for justice, human rights, assist vulnerable children, disability patients, and women that is going through gender-based violence. I have a strong belief in justice and doing what is right and serving. So I started my NPO about 1.5 years ago. It was registered about 1 year ago, but I'm running for 1.5 years, where it started with one child in the informal settlement. And with the one child in the informal settlement, it was a girl, and she was age 16 and she wasn't at school. And I approached the Department of Education, stating that there's a child that isn't attending school, and I tried to get transport for her. And obviously the department said, well, they can't assist with one child. I need stats on more and to see if there's a bigger issue. So what I did was I went to an informal settlement, and that is where I started the journey. And I knocked on everybody's door. And obviously with knocking on everybody's door, I listened to each and every person's problems. And it was beyond sending one child to school. So with that, I found out that there are more young ladies that are not at school, that are being abused, that don't even have IDs, that fall pregnant at a very young age, exploited by foreigners, and the list goes on. So I obviously got back to the Department of Education, and what happened was in 3 months, I think I put about 50 children, but girls and boys, into school. I took them off the streets, and the few that I couldn't, they didn't have IDs, or they were already 17 years old and they don't have birth certificates. So I emailed the Department of Home Affairs. I said, this is the problem, this is what's going on, and they got on board with that. I contacted Social Development, stating that I have this issue with those a handful of females, actually, and I need to get them IDs because I want to get them into a system, as well as put some in school, because then I got to know it wasn't just about school kids, it was elderly people, elderly women, it was youth, women of youth, and also middle-aged, and there was a whole lot of more problems. And I said, okay, you know what, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do it right. With Social Development, they then registered me, and I went to it was the first Thursday that the department has, and I went there with a piece of pen, with a book and a pen, and I listed all the problems, and I came up with solutions, and that is how I started my journey. And with starting the journey, it grew. I started with no funding at all, and as I went along, obviously because I was new, there wasn't actual sponsors, but what I did was I used each department. So if I wanted to put a child in school, I did not need any funds to put a child in school because the department needed to assist. All I had to do was push. If there was a social development issue with abuse, gender-based violence, all I had to do was link up with the Department of Social Development and use what they have already available. So I started in the informal settlement, like I said, and also with that, there is vacant buildings that are available that people do the land grabbing. And I came across a group of Khoisan people, and it escalated. Everything just escalated with elderly women. There was a lot of disability people that I came across that I needed to assist. Some, like I said, some didn't have IDs. There was a gentleman of 40 years old that didn't have his ID, didn't have a social grant. He couldn't because of his ID. A lot of issues. And that is where I said, okay, you know what, I'm going to do this. And problems just kept on coming my way. And like I said again, with no funding, you don't need funding to fight for justice. You don't need anything. You just need heart and you need soul. And you can accomplish so much because people are in need, women are in need. Then what I did was I went to court and I wanted a space. I wanted to put up a shelter in an informal settlement that I didn't know anything about. And I took the city of Cape Town, and it was at High Court in Cape Town. And I was in the judge's chambers, and I requested if they could assist me then with the structure. Eventually, we came to an agreement where I would need to stay in the structure. I was very, very scared, but I did it. I stayed to study people, women, children. I wanted to know what happens in informal settlements, what people actually deal with on a daily basis, that they don't have funding, that struggle harder than people that have jobs do. And that is what I did. So I eventually got the city to put up a structure in the informal settlement of Sevendeland Strandfontein. And was staying. I understood it was very, very difficult because I came from a house, and in the structure there's no toilets, there's no bathrooms. It's very, very different to living in a house. Also, there's no protection. It's in an open bush, and there is gangsters. There is a lot of domestic violence here. Alcohol is a big issue. Drugs are an issue. So I got to know everybody by heart, by name, and understand their story. And I got involved with the communities. It's 5 informal settlements that I see to. What I did was, then with staying here, I targeted SPAR because there was a need for feeding children. Children were hungry, they were going to bed without anything to eat. Their parents were on drugs, they're being abused. and I got a sponsor by SPA, and I asked if they can assist me. It took quite a while, like it was 3 months up and down, but eventually I got it right. So with that and feeding the children daily, parents started coming, knocking at the door, and it went on till about 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock at night. So there was a constant buzz of everything within the community. And as each person came to the door, there was a story about everybody, about a child. A child would speak about what they go through at home. Moms would come of the abuse that they're going through. Mothers that are on drugs telling me these stories and how they would like to escape. They pray to escape, but they don't have help. Fathers came telling me their stories also, where men actually are getting abused by a woman, and where mommies run away from their children. So it was the list goes on. But then I said, okay, I'm going to dedicate myself to everything. Then I started slowly. I wanted to be different. Because I'm staying here, there wasn't toilets in the informal settlement. There was electricity, but it took City of Cape Town 30 years to come out and actually repair the electricity. So children were constantly at risk, constantly with no electricity.
Thank you.
Rape was going on here.
No, you've got 5 minutes per question, but we don't mind because you're giving us a lot of your background.
Sorry.
No, you don't have to say sorry, but you're going to have a lot of time still to engage with honourable members. You can elaborate more as we move through the interview process. But thank you for that opening information. I'm going to hand you over to Honourable Polwane. She will introduce herself and then ask you the next question.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you very much, Chair. And good morning to Ms. Daintry. Ma'am, I'm Renee Polwane. I'm a member of this portfolio committee. I like your energy. Good morning, ma'am. Morning.
Morning.
I like your energy. Yeah. No, ma'am, I've got a simple question here. I know the way the way you deliberate, you will know this question very well. The question that I have is, can you please outline your understanding on the legal framework that establish and guide the National Council of Gender-Based Violence and Femicide? Thank you, Chair.
The
legal framework, your understanding. One of the pieces of legislation that guide us in GBV, the legal framework. Can you please provide your understanding?
The law?
Yes, the law.
Yes. So the law would guide gender-based violence.
Yes, the framework.
Based on what? Based on what is right legally.
No, the National Council on Gender-Based Violence and Femicide, which will be established, is because of a certain act that was passed by Parliament. So Honourable Polwane is asking that you speak to that legal framework, your understanding of that legal framework that was passed, that then gave us this task as this portfolio committee to start looking for candidates that will ultimately serve on the National Council on Gender-Based Violence and Femicide. So an act was passed by Parliament that gave the go-ahead for this council to be established. So your understanding of that legal framework.
Is it because of everything that has been happening and all the how do I put this? The amount of killings and violence that's been happening, it became an importance and urgency.
Okay, you can give us your understanding, just unpack your understanding of why this council will be established, because a law was passed that gave a mandate for this council to be established, but tell us your understanding of that framework.
It's due to everything that has been going on and the urgency of GBV that has been happening. So to my understanding, it's because of the numbers of the stats.
Okay, thank you very much. We'll hand you over to the next honourable member.
One. Thank you so much, Chairperson. Greetings to everybody. Ms. Daintry, my name is Jasmine Peterson, and I'm a member of this committee. My question to you today would be, what do you think, or what would you say is the mandate of this council? Thank you.
The mandate of the council.
Yes, ma'am.
I don't know.
Thank you very much. We'll move on to the next question. Honourable Radebe.
Thank you, Chair. Good morning, Ms. Daintry. My name is Makosazana Radebe. I'm the member of this committee from Mpumalanga. The National Strategic Plan, in short, NSP, on gender-based violence and femicide, GBVF, is key policy that frames the work of the council. May you please outline your understanding of pillars 2 and 5, provide us your assessment of the effectiveness of the NSP, National Strategic Plan, and the role the council should play in this regard. Thank you. Mr. Did you get my question?
Okay, we'll have to reconnect her. No, I think it's because of her internet. Ms. Daintry?
Hi.
Sorry, we lost you for a moment. Can
It's
you?
the signal shot.
We can hear and see you. Can you hear us?
Yes.
Thank you
Can
so
I just
much.
sit?
I'm going to ask Honourable Radebe to repeat the question.
Morning.
Morning.
My name is Makosazane Radebe. I'm the member of this committee from Mpumalanga. The NSP on GBV is key policy that frames the work of the council. May you please outline your understanding of pillars 2 and 5. Provide us your assessment of the effectiveness of the NSP and the role the council should play in this regard.
She's frozen again. Okay, I think, is it possible for us to go to the next candidate and then we'll come back to this candidate? Ms. Daintry? Ms. Daintry, are you back?
I'm back. I'm so sorry.
No problem. Did you get that question? Can you give us an understanding of the National Strategic Plan and Pillars 3 and 4 and how it will guide the work of this council?
My answer would be to turn political issues into real issues, to force a government to assist with these issues and create budgets for, so that we can move forward.
Okay, thank you very much. The next honourable member, Honourable Mbiko.
Good morning, Ms. Daintry.
Morning.
Can you hear me clearly?
I can hear you.
Thank you very much. My question to you is, notwithstanding the high rate of GBV perpetrated against women and girls, persons with disabilities, that is, and also children and youth, they are particularly vulnerable and often go unreported. What is your assessment of progress made in terms of addressing GBVF and ensuring that there is a particular focus on disability? I hope you understood my question. Thank you. Do you want me to repeat it?
Yes, please. Sorry.
Okay, my question to you is, notwithstanding the high rate of GBV perpetrated against women and girls, persons with disabilities, including children, youth, and adults, they are particularly vulnerable and often go unreported. So my question to you is, what is your assessment of progress made in terms of addressing the GBVF and ensuring that there is a particular focus on disability? Thank you.
The ones that go unreported.
Yes.
So how I would address that matter, we ask questions. You ask questions, you spend time. There's, sometimes you can, okay. Whew, okay, sorry. Sometimes you know when something is off. when something is not right. I have heart for it. So there is issues where things like this have happened, where I'm busy actually with a case of something very similar, where it was unreported and it's been going on for quite some time. So what I personally did and am doing is I would go visit the person and monitor the situation without saying anything. My focus just was to observe, and then I intervened. Yes.
Please just relax. You don't have to be nervous at all.
Sorry, I am.
No, please just relax so that we can better get an understanding of who you are. You already spoke to us in the beginning about the work that you do for persons with disabilities. So please just don't be nervous. I'm going to hand you back to Honorable Mbiko.
Ms. Daintry?
Okay. Yes?
The question to you is, what is your assessment of progress made in terms of addressing the GBVF and ensuring that there is a particular focus on disability? That is a direct question to you, ma'am. What is your assessment of progress made in terms of addressing the GBVF and ensuring that there is a particular focus on disability? Thank you.
On the disability, I guess we would focus more on disabled people and go into situations, observe, and then act once we see or when we see things are not adding, and focus more on that. Also, speak about it. The more we speak, the more I speak, like, for example, to the disabled woman that I'm busy with, they live in fear because there's not a lot that they can do and they don't have voices. So we have to stand and be voices for them and make sure that they feel safe and secure and that they are okay with telling their story. So we have to focus on them, focus on the problems and come up with solutions. But with the disabled people, particularly, focus needs to also then just be on them, create systems and programs for them, better programs, improvement, get them group chats where we let them know that they don't have to fear anymore, but we have to stand firm on being the voice for them. Create community workshops for that particular group.
Ms. Daintry.
Am I answering it correctly?
Ms. Daintry.
Yes.
My last question, in fact, it is the very same question that I've been asking you. According to you, is there any assessment of progress that has been made in addressing the GBVF? Is there any assessment of progress?
Yes.
According to you? Thank you.
Yes, there is. There is assessment. There is assessment because social development gets involved, doctors' reports get involved, social development acts immediately on situation when it's been reported. So yes, there is an assessment and there is more positive feedback on that situation. Things happen more quicker than what it used to.
Thank you so much. We will now hand you over to Honorable Chauke Adonis.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. Ms. Daintry, can you confirm that I am audible?
Hi, yes.
Thank you very much. And thank you for availing yourself. Let me start with my first question. So, you know, effective governance is quite instrumental and key to have an effective board. Now, how will you, if you were to be appointed in the NCGBVF board, ensure that it is implemented? Effective governance.
I'd fight. I'd fight and I'd stand firm in what I believe and in what the board believes in. And we will fight for justice and fight for everybody that we're standing affirmative for. So I'll give it my all as always, with the group that so I'm nervous, sorry, I don't.
Not a problem.
Sorry. So I'm one person, right? And I strongly believe in justice. And with a board, I'd fight stronger because we will be united as a group. And I will ensure that I play my part always. I'll go beyond my world, my limits, just to ensure that everything that we say we're going to do, we do it. That we won't be about talk, because talk is going to get us nowhere. We will act. The problems that we will encounter, we will have solutions for it at all times. Nothing will be impossible. The stronger we are, the better we are, the more impact we have, and our voices will be heard, and we will be the voices for others that can't voice out. So, yes, that is my answer.
Thank you very much. My next question would be, according to your understanding, what are the fundamental values or principles of good governance? If you can just list those characteristics of good governance.
Stand on what is right, justice, ensure that the law is done, that there's no corruption, no bribery should take place. Yeah.
Okay, my last one on this would be, in your view, what are the values or characteristics that those who are to be appointed to the council should possess?
Good character, honesty, loyalty, heart. You should have heart if you want to do something like this. You have to understand that whatever it is that you are putting yourself into, it's not going to be easy, because fighting for people and standing up for people and what you believe in, it's never easy. So you have to stand affirmative with the heart, obviously, and be willing to fight for justice. Let your voice be heard. Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Can I check if any colleague would like to ask any follow-up question? Okay. Thank you very much, Ms. Daintry Barnes. I wanted to say thank you very much for spending your time with us this morning. I want to just outline what the process will be from here. We, as a portfolio committee, will be interviewing 18 candidates. You've been one of the 18 candidates. We will conclude our work today. Then we will go back to Parliament, where we will receive an HR and state security screening report on our candidates. We will deliberate on the interviews. We will then adopt a report with our recommended names or nominees. This report will then serve in front of the National Assembly, where they will hopefully then accept or adopt our report. That will then be sent to the President of the Republic, who will ultimately decide on which candidates or which individuals will serve on South Africa's first National Council on Gender-Based Violence and Femicide. I want to say on our behalf, we thank you very much for the work that you are already doing in your community, especially for school children, for the disadvantaged, helping many individuals linking up with the various government departments. I know for a fact that many of our people don't know how to utilize government services, or it's sometimes out of reach. So the work that you do in the service of your community is absolutely valuable. And as lawmakers, as members of parliament, we must thank you for that. So ons sê baie dankie. Is daar enige iets wat jy wil sê vir ons as jou closing statement?
No, maybe I should say, because I got the news yesterday, so I've done a partnership and I've got sponsored with a place that's going to do building. So we are going to be on search for looking for a safe house, because I'm trying to have a safe house for children, a safe space actually, where children are children, because the children living in informal settlements, they're not privileged to have normal lives, and because of everything that's going on with them, it's a need. So the sponsor came through yesterday, it's confirmed, and yes, that would be the new venture as well that I'm adding to the NPO on a safe house, and also they offer to build an ECD center.
That's wonderful. But please do reach out to the Portfolio Committee if there's anything that we can assist you with. Then we can also elevate it to the various committees, our other committees. So please do stay in touch, and we wish you well. And thank you very much for participating. This then brings us to the end of your interview.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Good morning, Ms. Mormani. Can you hear us? Don't switch the car. We must see her. Ms. Mormani, good morning. Please unmute yourself. Can you hear us? Okay. Good morning, Ms. Mormani. Ms. Mormani, can you hear us? Please unmute yourself. Can you hear us? Okay. Yes. Ms. Moramane, good morning. Can you hear us?
Am I audible?
Oh, yes, you are. Are we audible? Can you hear us from that side? On that side?
Yes, I can hear you.
Clearly.
Yes.
You hear us clearly?
Yes, I can clearly hear you.
Okay, please stay on the line. The chairperson will be with you probably in the next 2 to 5 minutes, and your interview will
Okay.
start. Thank you so much.
Okay, no, thank you.
Second last. Honorable, so Tetsi meets everyone on time. Yes. This. No, what do you want to go and do in your room? You are getting a small briefing about tomorrow. Yeah, Mama? Some flowers for okay, then I'll have to send it to our house. Good morning, Miss Mormani. Is that the right way to pronounce your surname?
Good morning, ma'am. Yes, that is the correct way of pronouncing my surname.
Good morning. Very welcome to Parliament. We are the Portfolio Committee on Women, Youth and Persons with Disabilities. We have been tasked with the very important task of searching for suitable South Africans to serve on our very first National Council on Gender-Based Violence and Femicide. So we thank you very much for availing yourself to serve. Thank you for putting your name forward to be considered. Maybe you can just start by, as we go along, let me just say that as we go along, members will introduce themselves. But I'm Liesel van der Merwe and I'm the chairperson of the Portfolio Committee. Can you please just start by stating your full names for the record?
Thank you so much, ma'am. First of all, I would like to take this moment to send my thank yous for this opportunity. My name is Tisano Mormani.
Okay. Thank you so much. And I also want you to feel very relaxed. Don't feel nervous at all. Please, we want to learn more about you and why you would want to serve. And honourable members are very friendly honourable members, so there is no need to be nervous. Can you also start by just telling me whether there's any conflict of interest that you would want to declare? And are you aware that if you are to be appointed to this council, that it's not a salaried position, but that members of the council will only receive a stipend?
Okay. I have no conflict of interest to declare. And then secondly, I am aware that it is the stipend that is to be received by the council as stated by the Act. So I am aware.
Okay, perfect. Now is your opportunity, Ms. Mormani, to tell us a little bit about yourself, your background, your qualifications, anything that you think is relevant for this portfolio committee to learn about you. Also, we would like to know, you are aware that we are looking for candidates from civil society or from the private sector. So also just tell us a little bit about which sector you represent. But now is your opportunity to tell us more about yourself.
Thank you so much, ma'am. I am Tisano Mormani, and I am from the Northwest Province. I am the Northwest University alumni, where I studied LLB honors degree. I'm further also a postgraduate student at the Northwest University, pursuing my master's in law in mercantile law. I am the former peer mentor, the chairperson of KGIS, known as Keeping Girls in School program. This is the program focused on eliminating any challenges that hinders the academic progress of a girl child in school. This program focused on trying to identify challenges that girl children do encounter at school or at home, which may affect their academic progress. So what we would do in this program is that we would host sessions where we try to identify challenges. Each girl will tell about their own challenges, and most challenges that we would identify would be bullying, would be peer pressure, would be teenage pregnancy, will be GBV situations at home, to which we would sit down, identify, talk about them, and talk about how we can assist a learner in overcoming the challenge. So in some few cases, we managed to assist learners to overcome such challenges and ensure that their academic progress is much more improved. Furthermore, my apologies, I've further forgot to disclose that I'm the current candidate attorney at Kositabo Letsapa Attorneys. Going forth, I was also part of the REDS program, which is known as the Radically Different Species Program. It's also a program that was implemented in high schools. That program itself focused on the challenges that was faced by both girl learners and boy learners in school, which hindered their academic excellence. Now, we then also would host sessions talking about those challenges and the best ways of dealing with them. If there's any situation at home that could be the challenge that the learner encounters and is indeed hindering a learner's progress, then we would try to take steps, involve social workers when necessary, psychologists when necessary, SAPS when necessary. And also in this program, we would also try to ensure that we request donations for the needy, sanitary towels for the ladies, school uniforms for those who cannot afford, toiletries for those who are also in need. Now, also, I've been so much involved during high school in these programs to an extent that even to this day, January during school openings, I was invited to do a motivational speech as the candidate attorney and the former peer mentor of KGIS and RADS at the high school, as to advise school learners on ways to conduct themselves for their school excellence, and also to always ensure that they are on the right side of the law. Furthermore, as a candidate attorney, I happen to have to assist or have to meet victims of gender-based violence, to which I would encourage them to take proper steps into ensuring that they receive justice and the protection that they deserve, which includes them having to make an application for protection orders, which includes them having to seek counseling for the GBV that they might have been subjected to, which includes them having to perhaps open a criminal case against the perpetrator on that regard. Now, that is me at the nail point. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, ma'am. I'm now going to hand you over to a honourable member, Honourable Shabango. She will introduce herself and then engage with you.
Thank you, Chair. Good morning, Ms. Mormani.
Good morning, ma'am.
I'm Honorable Shabangu Fisani from Mpumalanga, and I'm a member of this committee. And thank you for availing yourself to serve in this National Council of Gender-Based Violence. And now we're going to start on the technical questions, and my question will be testing your knowledge of legal framework. It's a very simple question, straightforward. In your own understanding, please provide this panel with the legal framework that gives effect to the National Council of GBVF. Thank you.
Thank you so much for the question, Honorable Shabangu. Now, the legal framework that according to gives effect to the NCGBVF, being the National Council for Gender-Based Violence and Femicide, I believe it is the National Council for Gender-Based Violence and Femicide Act 9 of 2024, which speak to the establishment of this council, which speaks to the process that needs to be followed in establishing this council, which includes the interview that we are on today. It speaks to the duties, which are the functions of the council. It speaks to the objectives that needs to be reached. It speaks to the reimbursement, the removal from office, the disqualification. It speaks to the meetings of the board and the appointment of the chief executive officers. So now it is the National Council for Gender-Based Violence Act as a whole that regulates this council.
Thank you so much. I'm going to hand you over to Honourable Kanile.
Thank you very much, Ms. Momakwe. I'm Honorable Kanyile. I'm a member of this portfolio committee and I come from Mpumalanga province. Can you please tell us what is the purpose of the council, the National Council on Gender-Based Violence and Femicide?
Thank you so much, Honorable Kanyile. According to my understanding and also in terms of Section 3.2 of the National Council for Gender-Based Violence and Femicide Act 9 of 2022, the National Council is the National Council for Gender-Based Violence and Femicide is the statutory body that is responsible for responsible for strategic leadership and coordination of the response, the prevention, and the elimination of that being gender-based violence and femicide in South Africa. And the purpose of the council is to ensure that measures are put in place to try to combat, to try to seize, and to try to also prevent gender-based violence and femicide in South Africa.
Thank you so much, ma'am. I'm going to hand you over to the next honourable member.
Thank you very much. It's still the morning. Oh, good morning, Ms. Mormani.
Good morning, Honorable.
It's Tisano Mormani here. Now, I have this question for you. The NSP on GBVF is a key policy that frames the work of the council. May you kindly outline your understanding of the pillars 3 and 4, and provide us your assessment of the effectiveness of the NSP and the role of the council, the role that the council should play in this regard.
My apologies. I'm trying to note down your question. The last part of your question was?
After you have provided us with your assessment of the effectiveness of the NSP, you also give, the last part is that you give us the role that the council should play in that regard.
Thank you so much, Honorable Sodetsi. Now, I'm informed that there are 6 pillars of gender-based violence. However, your question is based on Pillar 3 and Pillar 4. Pillar 3 being justice, safety, and protection. Now, with justice, safety, and protection, it is the responsible of the council to ensure that the victims or the survivors of gender-based violence and femicide receive proper criminal justice system, and also they receive criminal justice that is accessible and adequate. Now, I'm saying this considering the fact that there are villages and there are places that struggle with having access to justice, including those villages that are disadvantaged. Now, it is the role of the council to identify such places, such areas, and try to ensure that they are accessible to such resources in a case of experiencing such cases of gender-based violence and femicide. And now coming to pillar number 4, which I believe speaks to the response, the support, the care, and the health of the victims and the survivors of gender-based violence. Now, coming to that, I believe it is the role of the council, and also in terms of this pillar itself, the victims and the survivors of gender-based violence and femicide, they need to be assisted and cared for and supported, and ensure that their healing from their experience is speedy. Now, it is the responsibility of the council to ensure that they implement measures that can assist the victims, which can be inclusive of easy access to psychological assistance, to social development, easy access to police stations, and as such. Now, also, I believe that in this pillar on its own, it is the responsibility of the council to try ensure that in response to gender-based violence, they assist the victims and the survivors of gender-based violence to ensure that they respond fairly and efficiently to these challenges, which can be assisting them and teaching them of their rights, teaching them of where they can seek assistance and how they can go about it. Now, when coming to the role of the council in such instance, in a nutshell, as already alluded, they need to make sure that the victims and the survivors receive the care and the support that they need to ensure proper healing and developed South Africa. Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to hand you over to Honorable Mkhunu.
A good day to you, Ms. Mormani, and thank you, Chair. My question to you is, notwithstanding the high rate of GBV perpetrated against women and girls, gender diverse persons are also affected. What is your assessment of progress made in terms of addressing GBVF and ensuring a focus on gender diverse persons?
My apologies, ma'am, you were not audible enough.
Okay. Notwithstanding the high rate of GBV perpetrated against women and girls, gender diverse persons are also affected. What is your assessment of progress made in terms of addressing GBVF and ensuring a focus on gender diverse persons?
Thank you so much for your question, ma'am. So now, gender diverse, I would like to believe that you also are referring to LGBTQI members in that instance. So now, according to my knowledge, the laws have been improved to an extent that everyone is accommodated to ensure the protection of everyone who experiences gender-based violence and femicide in that instance. Now, when talking about gender diverse parties being affected by gender-based violence and how the improvements were made, there have been several several programs of gender-based violence that are in place which advocates for the rights of LGBTQIA plus members, and also there have been laws that are currently developed to accommodate the LGBTQI members as much as they could, to ensure that they are treated as much equally as possible as any other person who experiences gender-based violence. There are several societies that advocates for the rights of LGBTQI members, and such societies are recognized, such societies are supported, and some of them even receive funding from the government as such. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Honorable Mayalola.
Thank you very much, Chair. Greetings, Ms. Mormani. My name is Poppy Mailula. I've got two questions. The first one is, what does good governance mean to you, and how would you ensure it is embedded and measured within the council? Question two, what are the key attributes of an effective council member? Thank you.
Thank you so much, Honorable Mailula. My apologies if I'm pronouncing your name incorrectly. Now, good governance. According to King Ivy, King Ivy provides definition as to what is corporate governance, and I feel like it would be proper if I was not to begin as to what is actually corporate governance. Now, when we talk about corporate governance, we're talking about the exercise of ethical and practical behavior by the governing body in ensuring that they achieve the governance outcome, which include the ethical structure, the good performance, which include the effective control, and also legitimacy. Now, by ethical structure, we refer to the council ensuring that their actions are always ethical, whether monitored or not, whether seen or not. Now, also when talking about good performance, is the council always ensuring that in performance of their actions or in performance of their functions, they yield results, ensure that in whatever that they pursue ensuring that they are getting somewhere. This GBV and F is really being defeated in South Africa. Furthermore, when talking about the legitimacy is also the council ensuring that they abide by the applicable laws and try to apply applicable laws as much as possible to ensuring the responsiveness, the combating, and the elimination of gender-based violence and femicide. Now, your other question was how to ensure that one practices good governance. I believe ensuring that I practice good governance in the council, it's me now putting the ethical conduct into action, into practice, putting the good performance conduct into action, ensuring legitimacy within the council, ensuring transparency within the council, ensuring that the ethical standards are being abided by and followed by. Now, your other question was, what are the key attributes of members who will be serving in the National Council for Gender-Based Violence and Femicide? I believe the first key attribute would be strategic leadership. The leadership that is able to identify the issues of people under their leadership and ensuring that there are responses thereof. The leadership that is able to ensure that they work to the satisfactory and together to the satisfactory of people who are under their leadership. Another key attribute I believe also should be possessed by members of the council would be accountability. The members of the council would need to be accountable of their actions, accountable towards each other, and accountable towards the people that are under their leadership. Another key attribute that I would like to speak to is ethical conduct. The members of the council will need to always make sure that their conducts are always ethical, like already alluded, whether the conduct are made in private or publicly. They need to be the public example of what they lead, of what they work, and of what they preach. Another key attribute that I would speak about that I believe members of the council need to possess will be transparency. Now, the members of the council will need to be transparent as of their conduct to ensure that there is trust between themselves as the members of the council and the stakeholders that they'll be working hand in hand with, and also the society at large. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Can I check if there are any further follow-up questions? See the hand of the Honorable Chauke Adonis.
Okay. Thank you very much. My name is Tsegofatso Megan Chauke Adonis, a member of this portfolio committee. Thank you very much, first of all, for availing yourself. And I take note that in your CV, you are still a young person. So we're very proud to see young people putting themselves forward to serve our country. Now, I want to understand if you can give me practical examples of what you would then be bringing if you were to be appointed into the NCGBVF to ensure successful implementation and an impact in the communities.
Thank you so much, Honorable Chauke. Now, forming part of the council will need people who can come with new ideas, some of which are unpredicted, in order to make sure that this gender-based violence and femicide, which are now referred to as the national crisis or the national pandemic, are really eliminated, prevented, and responded to correctly. So now, what I would bring to this table is ideas of how we can ensure that information reaches those people who do not know of such information. For example, there are people who be enduring gender-based violence and femicide out there, not knowing properly their rights. So now, how about we ensure that if we have effective ways of ensuring that information reaches people, which can be done through social media platforms, through pop-up messages in social media platforms, through constant daily TV advertisements of know your rights. Do you know where you can go when you experience such a problem? Do you know who you can call? That be a normalized norm in South Africa of advertisement or posts, or also seminars be held teaching people about their rights, teaching people about where you can go when you experience gender-based violence, teaching people about different types of gender-based violence, because some people be enduring gender-based violence but not knowing that indeed they are being abused. So I believe we need proper teachings and training programs that can reach people who are clueless of such, which includes people from disadvantaged villages, people who are not really involved also in social media. That's where we can hold seminars, we can hold workshops to ensure that information reaches people. Now, another one, having observed in my line of work, that victims in most instances, they will come to report that they're experiencing a certain gender-based violence, and then they will open a case and then criminal proceedings will run. However, it's not in all cases, actually in most cases, that a victim would be advised that, do you know you can actually seek free psychological assistance? They happen to just open cases and go back home and go stay with that wound that is not healing. So how about during criminal proceedings, they be compulsory questioning to the victim as to, would you like to the court or the South African legal system to provide you with free psychological assistance? And then they can be assisted in that regard, because people do not know that such in implementation such exist. I believe that can also assist in ensuring that we fight gender-based violence in South Africa. So mine is to also bring my legal experience as to which laws can be relevant in assisting and be developed to suit the fighting of gender-based violence and femicide in South Africa, and also knowing as to where are the roots of this gender-based violence and how they can actually be dealt with. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for your response. Now, I want you just to take me through, if you can just identify quickly what are the contributors, some of the main contributors towards victims becoming victims of gender-based violence and femicide.
Thank you so much, Honorable Chauke, again. I believe the key contributors of gender-based violence, one of the main key contributors of gender-based violence would be women inequalities in our society, such being societal norms, such being that a man is supposed to exercise his powers in a certain way and a woman is supposed to endure such because they are married. Like I already alluded, yes, there are relevant laws that deal with such, but people do not know that there are laws actually that are protecting them. So this mindset of men being the leaders and the women having to always abide, I believe is also one of the key contributors to gender-based violence. Another key contributor to gender-based violence and femicide, I believe, is this too much consumption of alcohol and drugs, because most cases happen to take place during those events where alcohol and drugs would be involved. So I believe also gender-based violence and femicide emanate from such also. And also another key contributor that I believe is also the cause of gender-based violence, I would say it's the youth unemployment. Because women being unemployment, they end up having to depend on men and enduring whatever is thrown at them or whatever they're going through, just because men can take care of them. So if such was to be eliminated, we try as much as we can to eliminate this problem of youth unemployment, women unemployment, to try to ensure that the equality right is applied effectively, and also the youth are given employment, because most of the GBV cases and femicides are enjoyed by youth. Most of the reported cases are those reported by the youth members. And when you come to check, some of them even do have qualification, but problem is that they are unemployed. So if they were to be employed, I believe some of them would be able to be independent and not have to endure what they are subjected to in terms of gender-based violence, not having to depend on anyone to endure such. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Colleagues, any further follow-up questions? Okay, we want to thank you very much for spending time with us this morning, for giving us some insights. You are very young and very passionate, clearly, about the work that needs to be done. We want to give you an opportunity to give us some closing remarks, if you would like to. But maybe just to give you some information about what will happen from here on in. The Portfolio Committee will engage in one more interview. Then we would have concluded 18 interviews. We will then go back to Parliament, where we will receive reports, one being an HR report, a state security screening, as well as a briefing by Parliamentary Legal Services on the public comments that we have received on our candidates. However, most of the public comments that we received were by and large very complimentary and positive about our shortlisted candidates. From there, we will engage and deliberate on the interviews. We will then make recommendations to the National Assembly, and if they are adopted and accepted, it will be sent to the President of the Republic, who will ultimately make a choice on who should be appointed to serve on South Africa's first National Council on Gender-Based Violence and Femicide. Do you want to say something in closing or ask us any questions?
Thank you so much, ma'am. I do not have any questions at my disposal. You just actually answered my question by telling me of the process that will then be taken after these interviews. However, I would like to extend my gratitude for this opportunity, and I'm of the hope that whatever decision that will be taken by the National Assembly or the President of South Africa in establishing the council will be the best decision in ensuring that this crisis or this pandemic called gender-based violence and femicide in South Africa is really won over and eliminated. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Ms. Mormani. We wish you well and we'll be in touch. Thank you so much. This ends the interview. Thank you. Colleagues, we will now move to our very last interview, which you will find on page, I think it's one, would be the last one in the pack. No, second last. 140. Okay, thank you. 140, colleagues. Miss Caroline Peters. Hello.
Hello. Hi, good morning.
Morning, ma'am. I'm Liesel van der Merwe. I'm the chairperson of the Portfolio Committee on Women, Youth and Persons with Disabilities. You are our very last candidate.
Sure.
So we're looking forward to a very good interview. I'm with Portfolio Committee members. They are honourable members serving on this Portfolio Committee, and they will introduce themselves as they engage with you. I'm sure you've been to Parliament before because I know you're a very well-known gender activist and NCGBVF activist. I normally see you on the news. So you are most welcome here to Parliament. Please feel relaxed. We want to get to know you. We want to understand your ideas. You are a foot soldier already, so I think you can share with us what your contributions will be once you get if you are to be appointed to the National Council on Gender-Based Violence and Femicide, but we'll get there. I just want to start by asking you whether you've got any conflict of interest to declare and whether you are aware that members serving on this council will not receive a salary, but that it will be a stipend only if you are to be appointed.
Okay, thank you, Madam Chair. Yes, I'm aware there's no salary. It's not a salaried position. And I have no conflict of interest. I'm a bit nervous. Sorry for the shaky voice. And yes, but I'm aware of that. Thank you.
You don't have to be nervous at all. These are very friendly, honourable members, so you don't have to be nervous. Maybe you can start by telling us a little bit about yourself, your background, the work you do, what you're involved in. I don't have to ask you this because I know you're from civil society, but as you know, we are looking for candidates from the private sector or civil society, so maybe also just describe to us the sector that you are in and the work that you are doing.
All right. Thank you, ma'am. So my name is Caroline Peters. I am an African feminist and a human rights defender. I've been working in the space of gender-based violence for more than 30 years. I come from a survivor background. I started this work as a rape crisis counselor in the early 90s. I then worked at Sarki Bartman Center for Women and Children for the last 18 years, but I just want to take a step back. So I know I don't have the qualifications. At the age of 17, I was gang raped and my best friend murdered in the same incident. I did not complete school. That set me on a path of destruction of whatever rape survivor and that textbook rape survivor went through, I did. And so my journey started with rape crisis as a client. But because I had activism in my blood, I was a student leader during school, I was always in activism, and this then changed my activism for gender-based violence when I started first as a rape crisis client, and then journeying with rape crisis for many years through many dark times. I then became a rape crisis volunteer, and those years, volunteers, we had a year-long course. We didn't do a 3-week course and be a volunteer. So for a year long, I did a course at Rape Crisis, I did a course at Lifeline, and that's how my path started. 1999, the Sarki Bartman Center for Women and Children opened. I then joined the Western Cape Network on Violence Against Women as the office manager, and not in programs yet. And then as time unfolded, I then subsequently became the training program manager. In part of the legislation, I was also part of the legislation for the Domestic Violence Act as civil society. So it's fair to say that I serve civil society. I'm here in my capacity as a civil society servant. And so I then worked at the Western Cape Network on Violence Against Women for 8 years. I worked for Annex, an organization. So the Network on Violence Against Women was based at Sarki Bartman Center. It was a coordinated body of more than 500 organizations in the gender-based violence sector. After the Network on Violence Against Women, I joined Annex. Annex is an organization that works specifically around human trafficking. And at the same time, I worked with Elita Labantu for 15 years. the oldest black women-led organization in Cape Town is Elita Labantu. I served Elita Labantu for 15 years as a board member. And that during this time, my leadership, just to give you a background of my leadership was also in athletics. I founded an athletics club that was women-led and specifically for women on the Cape Flats to come out, because I always say if you fit in any way, then you're able to you would find women say, I can't, I don't have time. I said, just come and walk and you'll see. It will energize you and give you time to do your other work. And so I encourage women to start thinking, because as black women, we weren't raised to run. We weren't raised to go and walk. We were the mothers, the caregivers, etc. And that brought me, so with my journey, with my running journey, I then went back. I started at another club and I went back and I started a club in the community. It became one of the biggest community-led clubs on the Western Province Athletics. I served on the board of directors of Two Oceans Marathon. I was the deputy chair there. My work around gender-based violence now currently, I serve as the board chair for Trauma Center. I serve as the Men Engage South Africa chair. I am the South African Women in Dialogue provincial chairperson. I also serve on the South African Women Lawyers Association as the GBV specialist for the province. I also served as the hospital board, and so as you can see, my work has always been very intersectional around health. I also coordinate the Cape Flats Women's Movement, and then we have a kitchen network, and of course in 2020 we saw it was ordinary women in communities that responded to the needs and crisis of food insecurity, and through this we established a kitchen network. So it's ordinary women that has established a kitchen network, and I coordinate that. I'm a steering committee member for the Union Against Hunger. So my work intersects around food insecurity and gender-based violence. I'm a mother, I'm a grandmother, and I love God. Yeah, that's me. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Peters. I'm going to hand you over to Honorable Polwane, who will ask you the next question.
Thank you very much. Good morning, Ms. Peters. I've got only one question for you, ma'am. Can you provide this panel about your understanding on the legal framework that gives effect to the National Council of Gender-Based Violence and Femicide?
Thank you for the question, Honourable Member. My understanding is that the National Council on Gender-Based Violence and Femicide was established because of the National Council on Gender-Based Violence and Femicide Act of 2024. It is not an implementing body. It is a body for oversight, accountability. It is to oversee the implementation of the National Strategic Plan, and in that way also so accountability, prevention and survivor-centered responses across government, civil society, private business, etc., different stakeholders, various stakeholders. So the framework that it will operate in is within that context.
Thank you very much. Honorable Peterson.
Thank you, Chair. Good morning, Ms. Peters. My name is Jasmine Peterson. I'm a member of this committee. My question to you today is, what do you think, or what would you say is the purpose of this council? Thank you.
So we have seen many efforts to end gender-based violence and femicide in our country. However, we have not had a council and oversight. I want to say that the council is not here to duplicate whatever has existed. The council is here. The mandate of the council is exactly like I answered the question before. It's for accountability. It's to coordinate efforts to end gender-based violence and femicide, to oversee the implementation thereof. And for me, I want to say responsive, to be responsive to efforts that's already there, and how can we better collaborate between stakeholders, various stakeholders, to end gender-based violence and femicide in our country.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chair. Good morning, Ms. Peters. My name is Makosazana Radebe. I'm a member of this committee. Mine will be short. My question. The NSP on GBV is key policy that frames the work of the council. May you please outline your understanding of pillars 3 and 4. Provide us your assessment of the effectiveness of the NSP and the role the council should play in this regard.
Thank you, Honourable Member. So the NSP consists of 6 pillars, and the pillars is not siloed. The pillars work intersectional. And so pillar 4 and 5 is about justice, and the other one is about, 3 and 4, response, care, support, and heal. So I work in both of those pillars, and many organizations, some of us, number 1 is leadership, that this council will fall into, but 3 and 4 specifically works around justice, response, care, support, and healing. And justice, in as much, so we have a program, Access to Justice, that I work with daily. So it's about how do we, so we assist women and men. So our organization supports women and men. We have men programs as well. So we support and navigate to assist ordinary community members to navigate the justice system. How do we ensure that there's fair justice, that there's access to justice to everyone? Care and response would be your shelters. They would fall in that pillar, sheltering, psychosocial support, etc.
Thank you so much. Next Honourable Member.
Thank you very much. Good morning, Ms. Peters. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Thank you, ma'am.
You're
Honourable
coping
Member.
over there.
I am.
Thank you. Keep going
Thank
on.
you.
My question to you is that patriarchy and toxic masculinity is said to fuel GBVF.
Yes.
And calls have been made to promote positive masculinity. What is your understanding, Ms. Peters? What is your understanding of these concepts? How would you promote positive masculinity as an area to be advocated by the council? Thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Member. So patriarchy is a driver of gender-based violence and femicide. And patriarchy is systems that favors men over women. Patriarchy is not just, it's everywhere. It's in our churches, it's in our mosque, it's in our schools, it's in our systems. Patriarchy is a system. And so my way of I don't like to use the word fight, because I always say you can't use fight in the same sentence as gender-based violence, because we advocate. So how do we advocate to lessen patriarchy, to root out patriarchy? It's in our responsive work. So by implementing programs for boys, at our organization we run a boys program from the ages, boys between the ages of 6 and 16. How do we change those harmful gender norms so that patriarchy can fall? I love wearing my t-shirt, patriarchy must fall, because patriarchy is the hugest driver of gender-based violence. So when we speak toxic masculinity, we must speak to preventative programs for boys and men, ma'am. So I hope that answers your question. So I will. So it's about the implementation of these programs. For me, the council has to ensure that there's implementation of more responsive. I think that preventative programs. I think we have enough responsive programs, but we need more preventative work. So how do we prevent? Our prevention should be to educate boys and men around patriarchy and systems. Yeah. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Honourable Mbiko. The next Honourable Member is the Honourable Chauke Adonis.
Thank you very much. Chairperson, and greetings to yourself, Ms. Peter. Is it Peter?
Peters.
Peters, thank you very much for the correction. Just appreciating the work that you're already doing when you were doing your introductory part. You're quite active in the community. My question will be centered around governance. Now, I would want you to identify the characteristics of good governance, and in identifying the characteristics of good governance, additionally speak to how these would be applicable to the National Council on Gender-Based Violence.
Thank you, Honourable Member. I think good governance is always about transparency, accountability, but also, you know, when you're a strategic leader, you often differ with viewpoints in your committee. But how do we, when there's a collective, when there's a committee, how do we ensure that our own personal views are not promoted, but rather those, so when there's an action taken by or a decision made, I need to ensure that I support the decision, even though it wasn't my personal decision. And I think a lot of times leaders push personal decisions, and we can't help. We have our own prejudice in around things. But to me, governance is around accountability, especially accountability, transparency. How do we ensure that every person on the council voice are heard? It's about the collective. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you very much. On the second part of that question, it would be what type of attributes of those who are to be appointed into the NCGBVF should possess, according to you?
Thank you, ma'am. So for me, you need to have a knowledge of, or some knowledge, and I know leadership is extremely important, but it must be made up of a collective of different types of backgrounds, of leadership, but also someone with knowledge of gender-based violence and femicide, and the composition should be made up in different ages. It should be made up in different geographical areas, so that we are sure that we hear every voice in that it must be representative of our country in every aspect.
Thank you very much. I'm going to take hands for follow-up questions. Honourable Kanile, followed by Honourable Tsotetsi, followed by Honourable Chauke Adonis.
Ms. Peters, I'm Angel Kanyile. I'm a member of this portfolio committee and I come from Mpumalanga. Can you please just answer this one question for me? Notwithstanding the high rate of gender-based violence perpetrated against women and girls, gender-diverse persons are also affected. What is your assessment of progress made in terms of addressing gender-based violence and femicide and ensuring a focus on gender-diverse persons? Thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Member, for that question. You know, just on my way here, I've addressed a school that a young woman was told that she can't use the bathroom because she's a lesbian. And I often say that, and that's when it comes again, where we have our personal views and then there's the collective view. And so we cannot divorce gender-based violence and advocating for only a certain type of person and the look. It has to include gender diverse people in all its forms. So I have been a strong advocate of the LGBTIQA+ sector. Just to give you an example, many years ago, you know, when the churches marched against, I'm talking about before the marriages was even enacted, there was a march around I arranged the march, I disseminated the information. I did not go march because the week before our church had a march against it. And I thought, where do I stand? And at that stage, I was much younger and didn't know where I stand. And so I always say it's about the collective, but I've always been supportive and advocated for all genders and gender diverse persons to be included in every act and in everything in our society. That's the answer. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Honorable Chauke Adonis. Sorry, Honorable. It's your turn.
Oh, it's my turn. Oh, thank you. What would you say must be the attributes of this declaration of this national disaster? What do you think that government, in declaring this disaster, the actions that must be accompanying this declaration?
So you're so correct. At the moment, sitting on the side of service delivery and sitting on the side of working in communities and with gender-based violence and femicide, it feels like it's just a declaration. However, also knowing that this is happening, this process is taking place, I'm also aware that government is doing something for us to be able. But for me, when something has been declared a national disaster, there needs to be resources plotted against it. When we said that COVID was a disaster, we made sure there was resources, there was committees, there was intervention work, there were the will to I always say we could stop COVID. We can stop gender-based violence and femicide. Because I know that South Africa, we have the necessary people, we have the necessary resources to do this. So it's about how do we establish this committee, and that's why the urgency of this committee, the council, is important to ensure that doesn't just become another piece of or declaration and not something that is actively. So there needs to be resources, there needs to be the council in place for the implementation thereof, and there need to be so justice and intersectoral, if I speak interdepartmental, so all departments should be part. So when COVID happened, you had there was an interministerial committee. So there was health, there was education, everybody gathered, and we can do that, and we can dismantle gender-based violence and femicide in the same way like we did COVID. Honourable Member, thank you.
Thank you very much. Honorable Shabango.
Thank you, Chair. And hi, Ms. Peterson. Peters, because there's Peterson here,
Yes.
will confuse you. Sorry, I just want to follow up on the question that was asked by Honorable Kanyile. I appreciate your experience, your activism, because when you answered, you mentioned the school that you went to visit. But the question in its specific, we want to know from you if, in your own assessment, if there is any progress, either from the government or the NGOs, in your own assessment, your own understanding, is there any progress that has been made in addressing GBV on the specific, to focusing on this specific group that you spoke about? We want to understand if there is if there's no progress, you can say so, but if there's a progress, just tell us what is your own assessment. Thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Member. Yes, indeed, there is progress. If I look back from when 30 years ago, there were no legislation or there were no awareness as there is now. There's a lot more awareness of gender diverse persons, inclusivity. There's from schools, from primary schools, there's high schools that walks around with pronouns, and it's more especially with gender-based violence and femicide. I want to say there's awareness around same-sex relationships. In many years ago, same-sex relationships wasn't seen as that is gender-based violence. It was almost frowned upon. It's you want to be involved with another woman or another man, so you don't get the same service, you don't see. But I know that there's a lot of progress made. There's a lot of allowances made for gender-neutral, even in courts, for gender neutral. Yes, ma'am. So we've definitely seen progress around that.
Colleagues, can I check? Oh, me? Okay. We are enjoying being in your company, so bear with us. There might be another few questions.
No, thank you very much, Chair. I did raise my hand. I just wanted to follow your order, yes. Thank you very much for the responses. Mine then would also be in addition to the question about notwithstanding that the gender-based violence is perpetrated amongst, majority of young women and children. But I think for me, the question would be, what in your observation has it been in terms of the development, improvement, and integration of ensuring that persons with disabilities are equally accessing services of gender-based violence victims? And what would you recommend if you were to be appointed in the NCGBVF to ensure that they are included and prioritized?
Thank you, Honourable Member. So persons with disabilities, in my own opinion, this is my opinion, are more likely to be in violent relationships because of their vulnerabilities. Often they are less likely to speak out because more often women with disabilities would feel more that they're lucky to be in a relationship. I said to someone this recently, it's not, so women, and I'm speaking about women, disabled women specifically because that is the persons I've dealt with, but persons with disability takes many more years longer. I do feel there should be campaigns around it to make that more inclusive, women with disabilities or persons with disabilities for that matter. Not just women, but persons with disabilities. We need more awareness around that because they are more likely to suffer for longer periods before they speak out.
Ms. Peters, you work on the Cape Flats and you mentioned some of the challenges. So we've just declared a disaster, as the Honourable Tsotetsi had mentioned, but the disaster didn't come with additional resources. And we all know that we need social workers. We've got about between 6,000 to 8,000 social workers trained by the state sitting at home. So we need more social workers. We know that NGOs who are at the front line of the fight against gender-based violence and femicide are often scraping for a few cents to keep their doors open. Now you see these challenges firsthand. You talk about that we need to start with prevention. You spoke about the issue of resources. But then thinking about the challenges, if you were given an opportunity to serve on this council, in your very first meeting, if you were to be asked to put 3 solutions on the table to move us forward in this fight, what would be those ideas or solutions?
Thank you, Madam Chair. So for me, preventative work. Work with boys, work with boys. I cannot stress that enough. I often say that. And then, of course, resource those programs. We do see the intersection of food insecurity and gender-based violence on the Cape Flats daily. In every township, in every area that you walk in, you'll see there's community kitchens. These are not resourced by government, Madam Chair. These are resourced by private. But yes, private has their duty to support us as well. I often say, we often say government don't do this, but we don't hold the private persons, the companies are responsible for their CSI as well. And so if I have to be in a meeting for the first time, it's about accountability. And I want to say also integration. There's so many different bodies of persons and working in silos. We need to bring collaboration, bring integration with these different, and then preventative work, and fund the preventative work. We run a boys program. I mean, it's been unfunded until GBVF Response Fund this year started funding us, or last year in 2025. That funding comes to an end. There's no further funding for that, you know. So integrate all bodies. Don't work in silos. How do we bring every room into the table? There's so many different bodies. Preventative work, if I can think of justice. How do we strengthen our justice system? And I know that, you know, that justice is not always rehabilitative for us. It's very punitive. And so one of the things we do, we run a program to advocate for non-custodial measures for women in conflict with the law. I would like to also translate that to men in conflict with the law, because often there's perpetrators that can be rehabilitated that we're not working with. So, yeah.
I'm going to give you an opportunity to give a closing statement at the end, but I just want to, as I've done throughout the other 17 interviews, to just outline the process from here. You are, in fact, the last interview, so we've concluded the process. From here, we will go back to Parliament, where we will be receiving a briefing from our State Security Services, a HR verification report. We will also deal with public commentary, ask our legal advisors to give us some guidance, although by and large the comments that we have received from the public were very complimentary about the candidates that we shortlisted. We will then deliberate on our candidates. We will prepare a report with the nominees, the candidates that will be nominating for consideration to the National Assembly. Once in the National Assembly, the House will debate on those nominees, and if the report is then adopted, it will be sent to the President of the Republic, who will ultimately decide on whom he would like to appoint to South Africa's first National Council on Gender-Based Violence and Femicide. From our side, we will complete this work before the end of Feb, so hopefully just thereafter it will serve in the National Assembly, so it shouldn't take too long. The process is from here on in. But we really want to, as a portfolio committee, thank you for coming all the way from Cape Town. Thank you for the good work that you continue to do on the Cape Flats. We know that it is a difficult community, so many heartache, so many challenges, so many, there's just so many social ills that we are not properly tackling on the Cape Flats. And it really does also need the attention of this portfolio committee. And it is something that we should also prioritize, because we know that the constituency that we serve are also severely affected on the Cape Flats. So thank you so much for joining us and for sharing your ideas, your insights, your passion, and thank you for being a committed South African in this fight. Is there anything that you would like to ask us or say in closing?
Thank you, Madam Chair. So just to thank you and the Portfolio Committee. It's an honor for me to be here. It's an honor just to get to this position, to be able to come and present myself here today. I am, and as you say, I'm a representative of the Cape Flats. My constituents predominantly on the Cape Flats, but I also work globally, and through the UN Commission on Status of Women, 2 years in a row, I've presented there in different aspects of gender-based violence. So I just want to thank you for the opportunity, and the committee for even just to be shortlisted was an honor for me. And what else is there? Yes, and I'm looking forward to the results, and that whoever is elected to serve on the committee serves the interest of the people to end gender-based violence and femicide. We are a great country, and so I believe that we have good people with a will to end gender-based violence and femicide, and thank you, everybody.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Colleagues, that brings us to the end of the 18 interviews. The next section is a closed session. I did tell you we'll be done by 1. It's now 12 o'clock. So what we're going to do now is we're going to have 2 items which will deal specifically with the work that we've just completed. We'll talk about the scoring sheet. There's a question from Honorable Shabango. And remember, you would now have seen your candidates, so you've known which ones really performed, which ones didn't perform so well. So also in the back of your mind now, you know that we need to recommend 7. But as is the practice, we don't give the president just 7. We either give him 8 or 9 so that he can pick, because also, you know, you need to make that extra allowance for if